Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and Pokemon trainers of all ages. We are back. This time with the semifinals of the League Cup at the Collector's Store in St. Peter's. We have a blast from our tournaments past today. We have Darren from round 2 up against Adam from round 1. So we have seen these teams before, but I'm Jared Carpenter, joined by my commentator, Chris Yingling. And Chris, why don't you take us through how these teams that we've seen before are going to be able to interact with each other here in the semifinals?
Yeah, like you said, Jared, we've seen both of these teams in the past before. We saw Darren win the Weather War earlier in a matchup against Kyogre, and has taken that momentum all the way here to the semifinals with his Sun Squad featuring the Koraidon and the Calyrex Shadow Rider. Meanwhile, Adam was one of our first rounds of the day, and we actually saw him lose a game with his Terapagos and Calyrex Shadow Rider team against a Zamazenta that was very difficult to beat, but so good on Adam for fighting through that and still ending up making it to the semifinals with this team. And it's not too hard to see how. I mean, this is a really scary team that Adam's put together. Adam has been really on the Terapagos ever since it dropped to be legal in Regulation G. He's been really into it, especially this Calm Mind variant, and it does a lot of good things. And it's easy to see why that is, considering all of the Shadow Riders that are going around in the format right now, including the one across the team sheet from him on Darren's end. So seeing that interaction should be good. Now this Calyrex this Calyrex Shadow Rider from Darren's side does have the Encore, which is always something to take of note, because Terapagos really loves clicking the Calm Mind button. So should see maybe a little resistance here to clicking that Calm Mind, because Encore exists on Darren's side. Meanwhile, for Darren's side, he's just trying to go for Sun stuff, potentially use that Galarian Weezing to good effect here to turn off the abilities for the Terapagos, for the Incineroar for Adam's side, and maybe get the Sun going on his side. I think really the things that we need to be looking out for in this one, speed ties, a big one. Anytime you're looking at two Calyrex Shadow Riders, you always have to be thinking that speed ties are going to be an interaction, and in this one it could be multiple speed ties, considering both Calyrexes are the Focus Sash variant in this one. There's a chance that the speed ties are really going to play a role here, especially because neither team really has speed control. Their speed control is more fake out support from the Incineroar on Adam's side, and from Darren's side, it's more just having fast Pokemon like Scarf Chi-Yu or the Photosynthesis boost on the Walking Wake to be able to have that speed control. So really interesting game that we're going into here. I think maybe a small advantage goes to Darren in this one because of the fighting typing on that Koraidon in this one. Also, Koraidon on Darren's side of the field is running the ability shield, so going to be able to be out there with the Weezing and not worry about having its ability shut off. And also the ability suppression Weezing can make it so that Terapagos can't go for Terra Shell shenanigans, and that the fighting moves can get through it to try and hit it down. So should be a good matchup here. Excited to see these two great players duke it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So we won't delay anymore. Let's start the recording. Pay no mind to the round 4 on the screen. That is a typo left over from the last round. We are here with the semifinals here. What is going on? So we see I apologize. Let's unmute this, because we finally have audio bugs fixed. We have Calyrex Shadow Rider and Terapagos facing off against Chi-Yu and Koraidon.
There we go. Right off bat here, I think really happy for if you're Darren looking at this matchup. You're happy to have the fastest thing on the field be Chi-Yu. We know Chi-Yu has the Choice Scarf and is going to always threaten Snarl here, which makes it maybe a little bit difficult for Adam to, or excuse me, for Darren to be able to to be able to click moves with his Calyrex, might have to protect or do some Terra things to maybe live. It's having Chi-Yu against Calyrex is always a good thing. So slight advantage here to Darren for a great lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We see here that Snarl going to do so much damage to the Calyrex Shadow Rider and really weaken the Terapagos, not only breaking its ability, Terra Shells, but also lowering its special attack. And Terapagos is really a Pokemon you need to be boosting with to really output the damage of some of the other restricteds in the format. So we see a Terastallization immediately on the Terapagos, going for the HP buff, wanting to spread damage of Terra Starstorm, and saying, alright, I see what you're probably likely going to do. I'm going to get rid of your Sunlight, get rid of your Photosynthesis, and, oh, massive, massive, massive. Calyrex dodging that attack, not getting the special attack lowered, getting a full power Astral Barrage off. Fortunately for Adam, he does manage to switch into have two dark types out, so it doesn't do too much. And this -1 Terra Starstorm also doesn't do too much, but both Pokemon on Adam's side of the field are under half.
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty good turn from it looks like we have Adam on the close side and Darren on the other side here. It looks like that the dodging that Snarl is just huge for Adam. It allows, yeah, you don't get a whole ton of damage off with that Astral Barrage, but the fact that you get to keep your Focus Sash intact and still be able to do that little bit of damage instead of going and doing the -1 amount of Astral Barrage, which will be nothing, really big deal. So gotta think Adam's pretty darn happy with how that first turn worked out.
Yeah, Darren's got to be very happy indeed with that first turn. Now this -2 Terra Starstorm probably won't get the knockout. The Calyrex goes for Protect, so not contributing to the damage. And with that -2, the fish lives on. Chi-Yu hangs on with about 1 HP, and Terapagos falls asleep to his 4. Really setting Adam up for one last good turn with this Chi-Yu, one last Snarl attempt.
So yeah, so Adam is our player that is actually on the left side of the screen here for this game, it seems. So it is Darren who is clicking the Snarl with Chi-Yu and not really getting a lot of effect out of it. And this Calyrex does have to switch out now because Snarl is it has lasted 2 lives now, but Snarl is about to take a big hit into it. So it looks like Adam's going to go ahead and go for the double swap here, especially with this the Terapagos asleep, really not doing anything in this one. But now Chi-Yu is able to just kind of get attacks off here, but it seems like a pretty effective double switch out from Adam into the Incineroar and the Ogerpon. Sure, you don't want Ogerpon's sturdy being broken this early from the Chi-Yu, but Incineroar in a really nice position here against these two Pokemon that really can't touch it.
Yeah, absolutely. My apologies for the confusion earlier, but this fake out from Incineroar guarantees a knockout onto the Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu could go for Terra Ghost, I suppose, but do you really want to burn a Terra on such a low health Pokemon? Meanwhile, Ogerpon and Incineroar could each go for moves that would take out the Brute Bonnet. No Trick Room up to allow Brute Bonnet to go first. So we're going to see Chi-Yu switch out, going back into Koraidon, able to reset up the Sun, which is great, getting the Photosynthesis boost onto the Brute Bonnet, meaning that the Terastallization is gone. Terapagos won't be able to remove the weather, but an Ivy Cudgel, even with the Photosynthesis boost, is going to do well enough in order to take out the Brute Bonnet. So we'll see what the Incineroar went for here. Parting Shot, and since this isn't a clear amulet on the Koraidon, that's going to work and lower its attack 1 stage.
I think if you're Adam, you're content enough with this turn. Incineroar and Rock Ogerpon are two Pokemon that really don't want to be on the field into a Koraidon. So being able, Adam is making the right choice there. Instead of going for a knockoff or a Flare Blitz or something that could have knocked out that Chi-Yu, correctly predicts that Chi-Yu is going to get out of the matchup and Koraidon come in. So hey, let's make that Koraidon go to -1 here and get in the Pokemon that can threaten it in that Calyrex Shadow Rider now, because that Incineroar really wasn't doing anything, and now getting it to -1 is a pretty big deal. And this we're seeing in this end game here, Adam being in a huge advantage because very specifically the Calyrex still has its sash intact. So yeah, Chi-Yu is still in a good spot. It can still go for that Encore, no doubt. However, or excuse me, not Encore, that Snarl that is going to be really, really impactful here. But it does mean that Koraidon now has to choose. Is it going to try and take out the Calyrex with a Flare Blitz, thus taking a lot of damage in the process from Recoil? Or is it going to leave Ogerpon alive to get off some big Ivy Couple?
Yeah, we see the Terastallization onto Koraidon, going for that Terrifier, boosting either Flare Blitz or Flame Charge that it could go for. And we'll see. Follow me on Ogerpon not wanting to have a double up into the Calyrex, but Snarl finally connects, and we see how massive that miss was on turn 1, knocking Calyrex down to its Focus Sash and lowering its special attack. Ogerpon does manage to hang on and prevent a double up opportunity, but a -1 Astral Barrage isn't going to do too much to the Koraidon, taking it down to just over half of its HP. We see the Grimnate activate, giving the Calyrex a bit of a boost, but Koraidon intelligently says, hey, I know I won't need Flare Blitz damage to knock anything out this turn. I'm just going to click Flame Charge and become faster than the Calyrex on the subsequent turn.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to go for the Flame Charge there. It doesn't really need the Terrifier there to get what it needed to after the Chi-Yu damage. Probably just going for the Terrifier just in case Snarl missed the Ogerpon and you couldn't get that chip damage. But now it does look like Darren is in a pretty commanding position with that +1 on the Koraidon. Sure, it's still low on special attack here, but basically you can just kind of double protect this turn if you're Adam, or if you're Darren rather, so that you don't take any fake out from the Incineroar, and then you just have the fastest thing on the field going into the next turn with that Koraidon being at +1. So I really like Darren's position here, and it is going to be a little bit of an uphill battle here to see if Adam can find his way out of this one. Keep in mind that Terapagos in the back is heavily chipped, and it is asleep and has not used a turn of sleep yet.
Yeah, so we see a double protect here coming out from Darren. This is a triple protect even. The only one moving is Incineroar, and it doesn't even click the fake out. It goes for knockoff instead. And I really think this entire match is going to be determined, well, no, not even necessarily by a speed tie, because now the Koraidon is the fastest thing on the field after the Flame Charge, and I don't care how low its attack is, it's going to take out the Calyrex with a single point of HP left on it. So,
yep.
This is a really good position. Goes for a Collision Force into the Incineroar instead, not getting the knockout. So it comes down to the speed tie, Astral Barrage, and I think that puts the Calyrex on the other side of the field, Darren's Calyrex, in a position to go down to its Focus Sash and really be in an interesting spot in this endgame. It will probably get the double knockout at this point. No, goes for Pollen Puff. That's a really interesting choice to go for Pollen Puff instead of Astral Barrage. They're probably predicting a switch, I would assume. Switch into Terapagos, not wanting that Astral Barrage to whip, but that means that we have a situation where Adam is able to win that game number 1. I wasn't quite expecting that end game.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I think that was an absolutely gigantic turn. Would be interested to hear what Darren has to say about what he was predicting there. I agree with you. It probably seemed like Adam was predicting, or that Darren was predicting a Terapagos to come out in place of the Calyrex there. When really I think there was a pretty guaranteed end game of just flare blitzing into the Calyrex Shadow Rider slot with your Koraidon, and then just attack with the Calyrex. You don't really need to care that much about the sash on your Calyrex. You don't really care about that as long as the opposing Calyrex is down and out. So I definitely think there was a little bit of a misplay there from Darren in the end, and Adam made the clicks that he needed to in order to capitalize on that little bit of a misplay, and does take game one, heading into game two, and having a one-game advantage over Darren.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam's got to be pretty happy about pulling out the win here. And he needs to decide what he wants to do going forward. It looks like he is switching his grass type of choice. Brought the Ogerpon last time. Seems to be bringing Amoonguss. No, actually. Still considering. But is he about to lock in? Because he's got the same group of 4 as last time, but in a different order, wanting to lead with that Incineroar, probably predicting the Koraidon to lead off, wanting to get that Intimidate off, wanting to apply the Fake Out pressure, definitely wanting to set a different tone in this match.
Yeah, and I think a big thing from Adam is he has to recognize, I know Adam, he's a big player, and I know that this is going through his head. He recognizes how lucky he was to have that Snarl miss his Calyrex in game 1. Adam is saying, look, I won that game off of maybe a miss there and maybe a potential misplay from my opponent in the end game. I need to still make adjustments because the chance of that happening again are pretty small. So he's decided to bring in the Pokemon Incineroar that's really good into this GU. And also, you have the Ogerpon, which is extremely good into Brute Bonnet. Doesn't really care about anything that it has to go for. So really nice switch up here from Adam to keep Darren on his toes going into this game too.
Yeah, absolutely. We see the Chiyu notice the same thing you mentioned and say, I want no part of this. Switch out into Koraidon, which will give a Sun Boost to a potential Flare Blitz from Incineroar, but also gives the Photosynthesis boost to the Brute Bonnet, boosting its defense. So we'll see which one comes out on top. This Flare Blitz not quite getting the KO, and with that Flare Blitz recoil, Rocky Helmet recoil, Incineroar takes almost as much damage as the Brute Bonnet does, and is put to sleep.
Yeah, because Incineroar on Adam's team is not the safety goggles. It is Citrus Berry on this one. Adam choosing to just forego the item in general on the Incineroar. So Brute Bonnet with the defense boost felt pretty confident there, even in the sun, that it was going to be able to take a Flare Blitz from Incineroar, and indeed it did. Honestly, really fantastic turn from Darren there, because now you have an Ogerpon on the field that really doesn't want to be there against a Koraidon that can't really go down to anything that it has to go for.
Yeah, this is a really interesting turn by Adam. He's got to thread the needle really well here. Ogerpon choosing to go for a spiky shield, wanting to protect itself from Koraidon, and does get the call right. Oh no, does not get the call right. Flare Charge going into the Terapagos, breaking the shield, and giving the Koraidon a speed boost, making it the fastest Pokemon on either team. Brute Bonnet does go for a Seed Bomb into the Ogerpon, does get blocked. Ogerpon protects it sturdy, will allow Terapagos to do something uncontested with a potential Follow Me. But what is this Ogerpon going to end up doing?
Yeah, Ogerpon's in a weird space here. It really doesn't want to be here. And Terapagos is in a worse space because you don't want to take the fighting type move, but then if you're clicking Follow Me with the Ogerpon, it feels like a wasted move. So yeah, I agree with Adam here. This is really your only play. Start intimidating down both of these Pokemon and hoping that you can get enough chip or enough attack lowering down on them that you can kind of find a way here in this endgame. But, ooh, big crit. I do think that mattered due to the photosynthesis boost from Brute Bonnet on the defensive side, I do think that crit mattered toward knocking that out. Big crit.
Yeah, well, you have this crit, you have Ivy Cudgel, an increased critical hit ratio on that move, really impactful, and that does really help Adam out here. He was in such a rough situation, but now the Koraidon has already clicked Protect, so it could easily be hit with a Fake Out, allowing for the Ivy Cudgel to go into the Chi-Yu. Of course, the Incineroar is sleeping. I don't believe it's burned any turns of sleep, so maybe everything I just said should be disregarded, but this is a really interesting position. Spiky Shield coming out from the Ogerpon, going to allow it to maintain sturdy once again. Incineroar is asleep once more, maybe clicking that Fake Out, but Collision Course doesn't go into the Incineroar and instead goes into the Ogerpon, allowing a little bit of chip onto the Koraidon. But we'll see this Heat Wave come out, wanting to get that double up, break the sturdy, get the KO with Heat Wave, wanting to do a bit more damage than Snarl was last game. And Incineroar finally is able to eat that Citrus Berry, maybe giving it enough HP to live one more Heat Wave, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, I think all in all, you're pretty happy with that. If you're Darren, you're getting the damage down on the Incineroar that you need to there. And all things considered, I think Darren having the fastest things on the field right now is a pretty big deal toward getting it through to the end of this end game here.
Yeah, we'll see. Now it looks like we're going on the attack. That Flame Charge just wanting to break sturdy on the Ogerpon, and the Koraidon not wanting to take any damage from recoil. Ogerpon does go down, but that Citrus Berry is enough to allow Incineroar to live. Will it be able to wake up? No, it won't. So Incineroar literally sleeping on the job, but it does last long enough to remove the sun from the field. That means Heat Wave's going to be doing less damage. Koraidon's going to be doing less damage without its ability active. But Terapagos is just sitting here with Terra Shell broken into a potential Collision Course that you have to imagine with the super effective damage and then Collision Course's increased damage if it's a super effective attack. You have to imagine that will still probably take out this Terapagos.
Yeah, most likely. With the double up of Heat Wave plus Collision Course, you gotta think it would be. I think you're hoping here for a miss if you are Adam right now on that Heat Wave, and then just hoping that Collision Course doesn't quite do enough damage. I think that's what Adam has to kind of cling his hopes to right now.
Yeah, so we see Terapagos not wanting to go for Protect, maybe getting enough leftovers to fully recover, instead saying, I just need the raw HP stat right now. Goes for the Terastallization. Alright, so without the sun and without the with the extra HP, Terapagos is able to live and is able to dodge the Heat Wave. That's absolutely massive, exactly what Adam was hoping for. He does get this Terra Starstorm going, and we will see if this is able to pick up some KOs. It looks like it is not able to. Good moves from the Koraidon earlier in the match, not clicking Flare Blitz, being safe, clicking Flame Charge, getting guaranteed damage with no recoil. That's absolutely massive here.
Yeah, I think the turn went Adam's way, and it still wasn't quite enough. I think in order to win the game there for Adam, you needed to get a crit or maybe a higher roll on that Koraidon to just maybe knock out one of those two Pokemon. I think that's what he needed there. Having both Pokemon on Darren's side be faster than this Calyrex is probably going to be too much in this end game, as long as Chi-Yu's Heat Waves are connecting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see protects from Koraidon and on Terapagos. And so we'll see this Heat Wave. It will ping into the Protect of Terapagos, but will it connect onto the Calyrex? And it will, breaking that Focus Sash. And this Astral Barrage probably isn't going to take out the Chi-Yu instead. We see the Dark typing probably going to chip in, and yeah, absolutely. It would need another Astral Barrage in order to get this KO. So it all comes down to a potential Heat Wave miss here, I think.
Yep, I would agree with that. I think it's Heat Wave miss. I think Koraidon probably tries to... Oh, big double protect here from the Terapagos, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanting to maybe live another collision course, taking advantage of the increased HP stat from the terastallization, getting more leftovers recovery, but we'll see if this Heat Wave misses, and it does not. That means Calyrex is going to go down, and we're in a situation where Terapagos is once again hoping, fingers crossed, that it will be able to live another collision course. It's made it back to the half HP mark, but it still needs Chi-Yu to miss in the end, and that's what this game is going to come down to.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I think Darren's doing totally the right thing here, saying, I'm not going to mess with this thing. I don't really want to try and see whether I can hit or not. Let's see if Koraidon can kill the turtle, but if it can't, there is a Dark Pulsar now in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see the -1 collision course, and all that was for nothing, because even with the -1 attack, that collision course is able to take out the Terapagos. The leftovers recovery, not enough, and Darren is able to bring it back to a 1-1 game state here in the semifinals.
Yeah, good for Darren for really seeing his win conditions there. You hit it on the head earlier. The Koraidon doing the correct thing, not damaging itself over and over for the increased amount of damage from Flare Blitz. Instead, really valuing, hey, I want my Koraidon to guaranteed be faster than my opponent's Calyrex Shadow Rider in the end game, making sure that the Flame Charge was clicked. Even if it's not the sexiest click of all time, you still want your Pokemon to be faster than your opponent's Pokemon. And it made it so that when both of those fast things, the +1 Koraidon next to the Scarf Chi-Yu, are on the field at the same time, the Calyrex Shadow Rider from Adam's side really can't do anything. Also, we've seen in this set really some underwhelming performances from this Terapagos. It's really, really struggling into the fighting type that is the Koraidon on the other side, and it's unable to really sit in there and click Calm Mind because it's really afraid anytime it clicks Calm Mind, well, maybe there's going to be a Snarl Chi-Yu that's just going to cancel out any of the boosts that it could get. Or maybe there's going to be an Encore Calyrex somewhere in the back that can do some damage. Maybe it's a Spore from the Brute Bonnet that can do something. So Adam really struggling with how to use the Terapagos in this one. And as we're seeing in team preview for game 4 or game 3 rather, he has decided to leave the restricted Pokemon behind for this one. Probably the correct move.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Adam's team, has 3 grass types, one of which has a rock typing to protect it from fire moves, but, it has the rock typing, which makes it weak to fighting type moves. So the team seems like it really does struggle a little bit into Koraidon, or at least the common Koraidon sets you see. So we see that Koraidon come out, and for the first time, we do see the Walking Wake come in, getting the Photosynthesis boost. We know this is an Assault Vest Walking Wake, so it will be able to handle the Calyrex Shadow Rider's attacks pretty decently, actually, and it gets the speed boost to maybe outspeed. I'm not familiar enough with Walking Wake's speed tiers.
Yeah, Walking Wake definitely is going to outspeed the Calyrex with the +1. And even with AV instead of the more conventional Life Orb item on it, it is still going to get a 2-shot with Hydro Steam onto the Calyrex on Adam's side. Gotta think this Amoonguss that's Terra Water is really considering Terroring here and just trying to put something to sleep. Both Pokemon on Darren's side being asleep would be a huge, huge win for Adam. So you gotta think he's thinking, how can I make sure that this Amoonguss puts something to sleep this turn?
Yeah, absolutely. Though I do want to point out that this Walking Wake does have Snarl as well, and acting as the Chi-Yu, able to get big damage and a drop-on that can't be blocked by Amoonguss clicking Rage Powder. So that's something that Adam really needs to be aware of going forward. So Calyrex clicks Protect, absolutely just saying, hey, I don't want to have to deal with a Snarl. There it is. And so we'll see a little bit of chip onto the Amoonguss, but it looks like something is going to successfully be put to sleep here. Here's the collision course, correctly predicting that, hey, you're going to Terra Water here, doing big damage into Amoonguss, but just not enough to get a KO, and here's the Spore.
Yeah, this turn worked absolutely perfectly for what Adam was looking for here. The Amoonguss stays alive with enough health that maybe you could still pivot it out and have enough health for later in the game. You could fire a Spore into the Koraidon slot here. Calyrex now is able to kind of click Astral Barrage at Abandon, and Darren very critically did not click Flame Charge. So this time, only one thing on the opposing side is faster than the Calyrex, and that is the Walking Wake, who is about to take this Astral Barrage probably pretty well considering the AV. Yep, we see it is a 2-hit KO, or it's a 3-hit KO rather than a 2-hit KO based on that roll. But I think this next turn is going to be a big one to see whether this Walking Wake can wake up and outspeed the Calyrex to get a big hit off.
Yeah, I think that the way this Walking Wake has been trained is so critical, probably specifically EV'd to not go down in 2 Astral Barrages, and allowing more chances to wake up. Here comes the Snarl. Amoonguss is the one that dodges it this time. Calyrex loses special attack. Doesn't go down to Sash, but that probably doesn't matter in this instance. Going to not do that much damage, and may not even be a 2-hit KO into the Koraidon at this point. Koraidon goes for Collision Course, is easily going to finish off the Amoonguss, and even with the Rocky Helmet damage, maybe forcing a KO from Astral Barrage next turn, a Snarl will take out the Calyrex.
Yeah, you got to think that just for a moment there, Darren's heart sank as he saw the text of the Snarl missing. But it misses the one that you really don't care about in Amoonguss. It does get the connection into Calyrex, does get the -1, and maybe even more importantly than the -1, does break the Sash. So I definitely think that that was a really good turn for Darren, a tournament-saving turn perhaps, that his Pokemon woke up in time to be able to get the attack off.
Yeah, so we are once again seeing Chi-Yu come out, Koraidon going for Protect, not wanting to get hit by Fake Out, and Incineroar correctly saying, hey, you have an Assault Vest Pokemon on the other side of the field. That can't be protected from Fake Out. So the Chi-Yu switching in gets clapped in the face. Meanwhile, then it gets hit by an Astral Barrage, and absolutely doesn't take that, doesn't appreciate it, but it's still perfectly healthy.
Yeah, Darren's really happy with that, because there really wasn't that much that Adam could do there. Even if he was able to predict it and maybe Flare Blitz into that slot, thinking that a Chi-Yu would come out, probably Chi-Yu doesn't go down to the Flare Blitz plus the Astral Barrage there. So really not a bad play there from Darren. And now we have Chi-Yu on the opposing side that's faster than the Calyrex. It's got to get out of there.
Yeah, so doesn't go for Snarl, goes for Heat Wave, does so much damage to the Ogerpon, essentially brings it down to its sturdy. I don't think 1 HP or 11 HP is going to matter with the power of moves being thrown around. Does finally manage to stall out the Sun, but I think once again it's all going to come down to a Heat Wave miss. If Heat Wave misses on the Calyrex, I think there is a chance for Adam here. Otherwise, I think a Heat Wave will just take out both of his Pokemon.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. I think if Heat Wave hits here, you're in a good spot. If Heat Wave misses here, you might be in a rough spot or have to deal with misses. But it does connect, and it looks like we have Darren moving on to the finals in the Collectors Cup in the month of May.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellently played by Darren. So happy for him. He played excellently. Adam, again, played brilliantly as well, but Darren came out on top in this set. So we're going to, I believe, end it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We will be bringing you one more match in this playlist, the finale of the Collectors Store League Cup in St. Peter's. See you then.